Hi everyone, Sailor Neptune, Sailor SeaWorld here, and today we're going to talk about, the Unstraight and Sailor Moon. Why? Because it's something that does come up, and some folks maybe think that Sailor Moon was the first drawing show to have unstraight sails in it. Now I don't know if that's true or not, but a lot of folks seem to say that, oh, Sailor Moon was the first honest drawing show to have unstraight folks in it. I don't know if they did or did not. To be earnest with you, I do not know. Now, the first unstraight folks that we meet in Sailor Moon would be Malachite or Zoisite, the names in Deke. And Viz, this will be shifted to Kunfite and Zoisite. Now, and we do know that Deke did shift Zoisite to a woman, so in Deke's world and Pioneer's world, since Pioneer's world is just a offshoot of Deke's world in some way, Zoisite is a woman. And Zoisite became a woman for whatever grounds, sake or why, because the folks at Deke felt that having two unstraight selves would be too much for bearers and keepers who were watching the show with their children to deal with. And for whatever grounds, sake or why, Zoisite became a woman, and is all we got to know. And a lot of folks maybe have their beliefs over why this was done, but I can give you my little belief. My belief is that Deke was worried that some bearers and keepers, instead of only telling their kids, sorry, you can't watch that show anymore, and they might lose some watch time from it. But I think what also they were worried about was those bearers or keepers going above just telling them you can't watch the show anymore, and somehow getting a hold of UPN and WB and bitching about Malachite and Zoisite, or we should say whatever, to where they would say, well, until UPN and WB would say, well, sorry, we're going to have to drop your show because these folks are making a big deal out of two unstraight cells. So that's why the folks at Deke made Zoisite a woman. I'm sorry, it is what it is. That's just my guess. The next time that we meet unstraight cells is not until the free diff following a Sailor Moon, where Sailor Uranus, or Sailor Skyworld, myself, Sailor Neptune, Sailor SeaWorld, we both show up. And Pioneer was caught in that same bind that Deke was caught in. And Pioneer shifted us to nearkin. I guess they had to come up with a ground to why we were always near to each other and why we were always around each other. I know it didn't match up, but that's what they did. And I think that, and after that, we then go to the fourth following, where we then meet up with Fisheye and Zirconia. And Zirconia became a man instead of a woman. And Fisheye, some folks say, was a man who became a woman. And I believe, most likely, Fisheye became a woman the same way that Zoisite became a woman. That Pioneer was worried that if Fisheye was left alone, that bearers and keepers, and maybe even teachers, might take it upon themselves, and even other folks might take it upon themselves to get a hold of Cartoon and tell them and bitch about it until Cartoon tell them, sorry, you can't do this, because we get a lot of folks bitching about unstraight selves again, bitching about Fisheye, so sorry, Fisheye you gotta do something about it, or they'll end the show. Now, a lot of folks need be think that that would be the end of it. By the fifth and last following, you meet up with the Sailor Starlights. Sailor Star, Maker, Healer, and Fighter, who are, men, but when they shapeshift, they become women. And a lot of folks seem to believe that this was the grounds to why no business ever picked it up. The truth is that after this, Toei put a lockdown, or Toei chose did not put it up for a deal for anyone to work with. Now, a lot of folks out there are going to say that Sailor Moon was the first show, to have unstraight selves in it. I don't know if it was or was not. And a lot of folks now a lot of folks will believe, well, why is it that Viz didn't have to do anything? Well, by the time Viz got the rights to work with any of the Sailor Moon things that Toei would let them work with, the mindset, the stand, the mindset and the stand, the understanding, the trusting of being unstraight and what being unstraight meant was very unlike from what it was. That does not mean to say there still are not some folks out there that are against it. Why? Who knows? But there are more folks that are more open-minded and trusting of it and understanding of it and can handle it more good than back then. So that's why Viz didn't have to do anything that Deke and Pioneer had to do before them. Now, a lot of folks thought that there were a lot of folks who believed that the straight followership and unstraight followership would have been irked or angered, and now are irked and angered over, or at least thought that they would be irked and angered over how Deke and Pioneer handled it back in the day. Some are, some are not. And nowadays, like I say, Viz didn't have to do anything that Deke and Pioneer did. Now, before I end this film, there's going to be someone out there who would say, well, need be Deke Glee, Pioneer Glee, that's Pathseeker, right? Yeah. And believe that they should just left it alone. Like I told you, Deke and later on Pioneer, if they would have done nothing, it would have become something. So, sadly, Deke and Pioneer had to do what they had to do back in the day. Now we're thankful that you don't have to do that anymore. That Viz didn't have to do that. Because by the time Viz got the rights to work with any of the Sailor Moon things, the mindset, the stand, the understanding, the trusting, the open-mindedness of being of unstraight folks and being unstraight was very unlike now that it was before. And like I say, if Deke and Pioneer would just left it alone, like you folks think, well, sadly, the mindset, the stand, the trusting, the understanding, the open-mindedness that a lot of folks have now was not there before. And folks would have seeked some way to bitch and get a hold of UPN or WB, or we'll say later on USA or Cartoon, and put a lot of squeeze on them by the bitching and the ranting and the scathing of it, where Deke and Pioneer could have not done anything with it, or could have broadcast it at that time. So that's why Deke and Pioneer had to do what they had to do at that time, because they were worried if they didn't do something, that someone would do something and it wouldn't be good. So Now the last little thing is, alright, time to end this film. Tell me what you think about the Unstraight folks in Sailor Moon, and about what Deacon Pioneer did back in the day, and what Viz didn't have to do now. I, Sailor Neptune, Sailor SeaWorld Michelle, and I'll see you later.